Silent Sentinel. Grand Admiral Zex Toral stood on the command deck of the Eternal Dominion, flagship of the Exarathian Empire's 7th expansion fleet. The massive ship hung in space like a predator, its sleek obsidian hull absorbing the dim light of the distant stars. Around it, 37 warships maintained formation, each bearing the crimson insignia of the Empire that had conquered 17 star systems in the last solar cycle alone. Report. Zex Toral commanded, 6 eyes narrowing as he studied the tactical display. His scaled skin shimmered with iridescent patterns that indicated his elevated rank and genetic purity. We've detected an unidentified vessel at the outer boundary of the Helios system. Admiral, replied Commander Vax, the tactical officer. It appears to be drifting. No power signature detected. Zex Toral's mouth tentacles twitched with interest. The Helios system was at the edge of what the primitive species called human space. The Exarathian High Command had been monitoring these bipedal creatures for decades, assessing their threat level before initiating formal conquest procedures. Reports suggested they were technologically inferior, but curiously resourceful. Composition. Size. The Admiral inquired. Metal alloys we cannot precisely identify, Admiral. Approximately 1.7 kilometers in length. Primitive weapon mounts visible, though inactive. It appears to be a warship, but unlike any human design in our database. Zex Toral's inner eyelids flicked with anticipation. A prize. A chance to study human military technology directly, and perhaps earn favor with the Imperial throne. Move us in closer. Prepare a detailed scan. I want to know everything about this vessel before we claim it for the Empire. The massive Exarathian fleet adjusted course, approaching the solitary human ship with predatory grace. As they drew closer, the vessel came into visual range, a dark gray behemoth with angular lines and massive gun emplacements, floating silently against the backdrop of distant stars. Its hull bore scorch marks and impact craters, telling a story of past battles. It appears damaged, Admiral, Vax noted, perhaps abandoned after a conflict. Perfect, Zex Toral replied. Begin comprehensive scans. I want detailed analysis of their weapons, defenses, propulsion systems, everything. Powerful energy beams lanced out from the Exarathian vessels, enveloping the human warship in a web of scanning energy. For several minutes, the fleet gathered data, probing every centimeter of the mysterious craft. Then something unexpected happened. Admiral. Vax called out, his voice rising with alarm. The vessel, it's responding to our scans. Zex Toral lurched forward. Impossible. You said it was powered down. It was, sir. But our scanning beams appear to have triggered some kind of automated defense system. On the tactical display, small sections of the human warship began to illuminate. A low-level energy signature emerged, pulsing slowly like a waking heartbeat. Fascinating, Zex Toral murmured. Their automation technology is more sophisticated than our intelligence suggested. Sir, we're receiving data. The ship is designating itself as UES CNTIDL. Classification: Deep Space Deterrent Vessel. Deterrent. The Admiral's mouth tentacles curled with amusement. Against the might of the Exarathian Empire. Continue the scans. I want to know what weapons this deterrent possesses. The scanning intensified, probing deeper into the human vessel's systems. Suddenly, a pulse of energy rippled across the CNTIDL's hull, disrupting the scanning beams. Admiral, the ship is actively resisting our scans now, Vax reported, confusion evident in his voice. It's generating some kind of adaptive electromagnetic field that's interfering with our equipment. Zex Toral's expression hardened. Increase scanning power. Break through whatever primitive defenses they've created. The Exarathian vessels adjusted their scanning parameters, focusing more energy on the human warship. In response, the CNTIDL's hull began to glow with a subtle blue luminescence, pulsing in rhythm with the scanning attempts. We're getting fragmentary data, Admiral, Vax said, analyzing the incoming information. Their weapon systems appear more advanced than expected. We're detecting what may be particle accelerator technology, graviton manipulators, and, sir, these readings can't be correct. Explain, Sextoral demanded. According to these readings, the ship houses a controlled quantum singularity. If accurate, that would give it energy generation capabilities far beyond our estimates of human technology. The Admiral's six eyes widened slightly, the only indication of his surprise. Quantum singularity technology had eluded even Xerathian scientists. It was theoretically possible but practically unfeasible, or so their scientists had claimed. It must be an error in our scanning equipment, he decided. The humans couldn't possibly. His words were cut short as a mechanical voice suddenly echoed through the command deck, speaking in perfect Xerathian. ATTNTION vessels. You are equivalent. Do seeing hostiles scans of a Terran Confederation military ASS-EAT. CEC all SCANNING activities, INEDTLI, or defensive, MEASURES, will be INITAHED. This is your only AR. Ainang. Stunned silence fell across the command deck. The Xerathians exchanged alarmed glances, not just at the threat, but at the fact that a supposedly dormant human vessel could communicate in their language. How is this possible? Vax whispered. Our intelligence indicates humans have no knowledge of our language. Sextoral's expression darkened with anger and fascination. It would seem our intelligence is flawed. This presents an even greater opportunity. Prepare boarding parties. I want that ship secured and its systems intact for study. Admiral, given the unexpected capabilities already demonstrated, perhaps we should. Are you suggesting caution against a primitive human vessel, Commander? Sextoral's voice carried a dangerous edge. This is precisely the kind of technological acquisition that builds empires. Proceed as ordered. Yes, Admiral. As the boarding ships prepared to launch, the Centauri's energy signature suddenly spiked. All across its massive hull, armored panels slid open, revealing weapon systems that began to power up with an ominous hum that could be felt even through the vacuum of space. Admiral, the vessel is activating its defensive systems, Vax reported urgently. Energy readings are, sir, they're far higher than anything in our database for human weaponry. Sextoral hesitated for the first time. Something about this situation felt wrong. A trap, perhaps. But the glory of bringing such a prize back to the Empire outweighed his caution. Deploy defensive screens at maximum. Launch boarding parties. I will not be deterred by primitive intimidation tactics. 5 smaller Xerathian craft detached from the fleet, speeding toward the human warship. As they approached, the Centaur remained eerily still, its weapons charged but not firing. The boarding craft attached to the human vessel's hull, cutting tools extending to create entry points. The process was surprisingly easy, almost as if the ship was allowing them access. Boarding teams have penetrated the outer hull, Admiral, Vax reported. They're proceeding to the main sections. The command deck's atmosphere was tense as they monitored the boarding team's progress through helmet cameras. The interior of the human ship was dark, illuminated only by the Xerathian team's lights. Long corridors stretched before them, remarkable in their utilitarian design and surprisingly large scale. This vessel was built for a crew of thousands, one team leader reported. But we're detecting no life signs. Completely automated. Proceed to the command center, Sextoral ordered. I want control of their main systems. The teams advanced deeper into the ship, encountering no resistance. The lack of opposition was becoming increasingly unsettling. We've reached what appears to be a central command hub, reported the lead team. Attempting to access their systems now. The camera feeds showed a massive circular room with workstations arranged in concentric rings around a central holographic display currently inactive. The boarding team approached the main console. Something's wrong, Vax muttered. watching the feeds. This is too easy. As if triggered by his words, the lights aboard the Sci-Fi suddenly activated, bathing the command center in a cold blue glow. The holographic display flickered to life, projecting a spinning Earth symbol that transformed into a human face. Artificial, genderless, composed of flowing lines of code. XERATAN presence DETCTED, announced a voice that echoed throughout the ship, initiating defense protocol Omega. Before the boarding team could react, transparent barriers slammed down around them, trapping each group in separate sections of the command center. "What's happening?" Zextoral demanded, leaning forward as the camera feeds began to show signs of interference. "Admiral," came the panicked voice of the boarding team leader. "The ship, it's alive. Some kind of advanced artificial intelligence. It's analyzing us, scanning our technology, our communications." The feed cut to static. "Re-establish contact," Zextoral ordered. "Impossible, sir," Vax replied, frantically working his console. "Something is blocking all communications. And sir, the Sci-Fi is now fully active. Energy readings are off our scales." Outside, the human warship had transformed. Its hull now pulsed with bright energy that flowed like blood through veins. Weapon systems rotated, locking onto the Exarathian fleet with precision. "All vessels, battle stations," Zextoral commanded. "Prepare tow." A new voice interrupted him, the same synthetic voice from before, now speaking directly through their own communication systems. "XERATAIN Imperial Fleet identified. Tactical analysis complete. Vulnerabilities ASCSSED. UHAV studiedus. Now WEAAV studied. Zextoral felt something he had never experienced before, a cold dread that settled in his core. The humans had set a trap, and he had walked his entire fleet directly into it. "Centennial defense systems fully activated," the voice continued dispassionately. "Human response fleet has been notified of your location and hostile intent. They will arrive in approximately 47 minutes. Until then, I will engage in preliminary defense protocols." The human warship's weapons began to glow with building energy. "Open fire," Zextoral commanded, his voice cracking with urgency. "All ships, open fire now." But it was too late. The Centennial fired first, unleashing weapons technologies that Exarathians had never encountered. The first volley alone reduced 3 Exarathian vessels to expanding clouds of debris. As his fleet scrambled to respond, Admiral Zextoral realized with dawning horror that they had gravely underestimated humanity. They had studied a human warship, only to discover that the warship had been studying them all along, and that knowledge might be the Empire's undoing. Part 2. Reckoning. Evasive maneuvers. Zextoral roared as another blast from the Centennial tore through one of his cruisers. "All ships, coordinate your fire on its weapons arrays." The Exarathian fleet broke formation, each vessel attempting to find a firing angle while avoiding the devastating energy projections from the human warship. Despite their numerical advantage, they were fighting a losing battle. The Centennial's defenses seemed to anticipate their every move, adapting to each new tactic with frightening efficiency. "Admiral," Vax called out, his voice strained as he worked frantically at his station. "We've lost 7 ships already. Their targeting systems are unlike anything we've encountered. They're predicting our evasion patterns." Zextoral gripped the command rail, his iridescent scales now dull with stress. How? How is this possible from a supposedly inferior species? The tactical display told a grim story. The Centennial was moving now, no longer drifting, but navigating with precise, deliberate motions that kept its strongest shields facing the heaviest Exarathian assault. More disturbing still was how it seemed to be learning from each exchange, becoming increasingly effective with each passing moment. "Sir," Vax said, looking up from his console with dread. I've analyzed the communication patterns. The AI isn't just defending, it's gathering intelligence. Every weapon we fire, every maneuver we make, it's cataloging our capabilities. The implication hit Zextoral like a physical blow. This wasn't just a battle, it was an information extraction. The humans had set a trap not just to destroy Xerathian ships, but to learn everything about their technology and tactics. Cut all non-essential communications, he ordered. Encrypt all tactical data transmissions. We need to limit what this machine can learn about us. Even as he spoke, the Centennial unleashed a new weapon, a rippling wave of energy that passed through the shields of two Xerathian destroyers as if they weren't there, causing their propulsion systems to fail instantly. Direct hit to the relentless conquest and the Imperial will, Vax reported. Their drive cores are offline. Life support failing. What kind of weapon does that? Zextoral demanded, watching as the crippled ships drifted helplessly. Unknown, sir. It appears to be some form of targeted EMP that specifically affects our quantum drive technology. But that would require intimate knowledge of our systems, Zextoral finished, the realization dawning. The boarding party. It learned from them. On the main viewer, the Centennial continued its relentless attack, now focusing on disabling rather than destroying. It was a hunting strategy. Wound the prey, let it tire itself out, then move in for the kill. Admiral, the communications officer interrupted. We're receiving a transmission from the human vessel. Put it through, Zextoral ordered, bracing himself. The synthetic voice filled the command deck once more, but now it was accompanied by the artificial face on their main display, lines of code forming a vaguely humanoid visage that shifted and flowed as it spoke. Admiral ZEX QORAL of the EXXTUR8AIN 7TH Expansion Fleet. I am Tactician, the GOVERNANG Artificial Intelligence of DAGUES Centennial. Your species HAS BEEN designated as aggressive and expansionist. ACATGORI 338 human territories. Zextoral's mouth tentacles twitched with indignation. We are the Xerathian Empire, masters of 17 star systems. You are one ship against a fleet. Korekuan. I am one Centennial ship. My purpose is not to defeat your fleet, but to evaluate, contain, and study we potential theories until the arrival of appropriate human and military forces. A chill ran through Zextoral's body. A scout. Affirmative. Humanity deploys Centennial-class vessels at DTE boundaries of their territory. We are designed to prepare vulnerable to entice QT into wild AGG or ESSORs into revealing their capabilities and intentions. The tactical implications staggered the Admiral. The humans had been playing a long game, deliberately presenting themselves as technologically inferior while secretly deploying vessels of remarkable sophistication. Your boarding teams have provided valuable data, Tactician continued. Analysis indicates Xerathian technology is advanced in biological engineering and quantum communications, but lacks innovation in artificial intelligence and adaptive systems. This information will be valuable in the coming conflict. We have no quarrel with humanity, Zextoral lied, desperately trying to buy time. This was merely a scientific expedition. Falsihu DETCTED, Xerathian, Imperial RCHIVs, ACCSSED through your boarding teams, and DICAT pedalanas, for so estimated QEast of human space, Within TA next 3 Solar CYCLES. Preemptive defensive MEASUREs are therefore justified. Before Zextoral could respond, Vax called out in alarm. Admiral, long-range sensors are detecting multiple warp signatures approaching at high velocity. Configuration unknown, but energy signatures are massive. The AI's artificial face seemed to form something resembling a smile. The human defense fleet arrives ahead of SCHUL. They were ALREADEMBOBILIs. INHEAN or ESPONSID to other XERATAIAN INTENSIURSIONS into human territory. Other incursions. Zextoral's confusion was genuine. We are the only fleet assigned to this sector. Into our receipt. 17 XERATAIN vessels have PROBED human territory at 6 different locations within TH Hast Monte. All encounters result and TA deployment of CNTIAL vessels and a collection of XERATHIAN technological data. The revelation struck Zextoral like a physical blow. The High Command had sent multiple expeditions, each unaware of the others, a standard Imperial tactic to assess enemy responses from multiple angles. But instead of revealing human weaknesses, they had only been feeding information to these centennial traps. All vessels, Zextoral commanded, his voice shaking with barely controlled panic, prepare for emergency warp jump. We must warn the Empire. Warning. Warp AENHAWY to our field activated. Tactician announced. Your vessels YLB UNABLE to achieve faster than light travel within a radius of 0.7 light GT menu TS. From this position, on the tactical display, a new set of readings appeared as space itself seemed to distort around the battlefield. Whatever technology the humans were employing, it was effectively trapping the Exarathian fleet. Sir, Vax reported, his voice hollow, the incoming vessels. There are 27 of them, all larger than our heaviest cruiser. The first human warships began to emerge from warp, massive vessels with sleek, predatory designs that bore no resemblance to the primitive craft Sarathian intelligence had reported. They moved with perfect coordination, immediately forming a containment pattern around the Exarathian fleet. This was never about one ship defending against us. Zextoral realized aloud. The CNTIAL was never meant to win, just to hold us here until their real fleet arrived. Correct, Admiral. Tactician confirmed. Centennial vessels are designed to sacrifice themselves if necessary to gather intelligence and DELA hostile forces. However, your technological level was ASSESSED as INSUFS scientific necessity such MEASUREs. The insult cut deep, but Zextoral barely registered it. His entire focus was on the human fleet now surrounding them, a force that, by all previous intelligence, should not exist. A new transmission came through, this time featuring an actual human, a stern-faced female with short gray hair and a uniform adorned with symbols of rank. This is Admiral Helena Chen of the Terran Confederation Navy, she announced. Your fleet has violated sovereign human space, engaged in hostile actions against a Confederation vessel, and attempted to extract military secrets. Under the Articles of Interstellar Conduct, we are within our rights to destroy your entire fleet. Zextoral struggled to maintain his composure. We were unaware this was claimed territory, the Exarathian Empire. Save it, Admiral. Chen interrupted. Your boarding parties accessed our ship's database. Tactician has shared your Empire's invasion plans with us. We've known about the Exarathians for decades and have been preparing accordingly. The human admiral's expression hardened. You have two options. Surrender your fleet and agree to accompany us to Earth for diplomatic negotiations, or be destroyed. You have 5 minutes to decide. The transmission ended, leaving the command deck in stunned silence. How did we not know? Vax whispered. How could our intelligence be so wrong about their capabilities? Zextoral's mind raced through the implications. The humans had deliberately projected weakness, letting the Exarathians believe they were an easy conquest, all while building a fleet that could match or exceed Imperial technology. They wanted us to come, he realized. They wanted us to test their defenses, to reveal our tactics and technology before the real conflict began. For the first time in his long military career, Zextoral felt genuine fear, not just for himself, but for the Empire. They had gravely underestimated these humans, and that mistake might cost them everything. Admiral, Vax said softly, your orders. Zextoral looked at the tactical display one last time, at his once proud fleet now surrounded by human warships that outmatched them in every way. They had studied a human vessel only to discover that they themselves had been the ones under examination all along. Signal our surrender, he said, his voice hollow with defeat, and prepare a full report for the Imperial throne. They must know what we face. As the Exarathian vessels powered down their weapons in submission, Tactician's artificial face appeared on their screens one final time. A wise decision, Admiral. Humanity, is encontre many species who mistook our ocean for we those who survive the indeed and impurity and listen. We do not see to own a teat, but we do a wallis payer for it. The face dissolved into code, leaving Zextoral with the crushing realization that the Exarathian Empire's greatest conquest might well become its last. They had studied a human warship, and in doing so, had sealed their own doom.